Well, hey everyone, it's Marcus and welcome to more Zooming in the Jungle Room. Today I'm going all the way over to Vancouver, I think actually for my very first Zoom call to Vancouver, where I'm speaking to Ryan Guldemond. He is, of course, from Mother. Ryan, how are you today?
Very well. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. Well, I mean, obviously we're talking today because you're about to embark on your second Australian tour, which is going to be the first time you actually come to Adelaide, though, because you came to Australia in 2023. Unfortunately, didn't do Adelaide, but this time you have put us on the map, and I love it. Are you excited to get back here?
Yeah, we had such a great time last time. Australia has a lot of uh verve, I found.
Yeah.
Like the people have a confidence. There's like a social swagger just to being out and about in Australia that I really took fondly to. I like the energy a lot.
And you're coming at the right time, obviously. I mean, you're coming to Adelaide 16th of November, but you are coming to at the right time because it's course it's going to be leading into summer, so you're going to have amazing weather. Good,
Lovely.
good choice. Hey,
Summer in November is not what we're used to, so
yeah,
we're down.
yeah, awesome. Hey, you've got a lot going on at the moment. Obviously, you're still promoting the 2024 album, Grief Chapter, which we'll talk about. But also, what is actually playing in the background over there is you've just brought out 3 Christmas singles, which are smashing. They're absolutely killer. What inspired the Christmas songs?
Well, you're always asked to do Christmas music by the label and the publishers. And I've always been pretty resistant because it just feels a bit I don't know, corny. But I thought to myself, like, yeah, how can we make this us? How can we turn this around and do something more dark and twisted and cynical? So when we do a cover, we definitely try to uh, demonize it somehow. And then when we have the opportunity to write a Christmas song, we certainly try to expose the darker shades of the Yuletide. So it's become quite a fun thing that was once um, maybe a little bit resented. But yeah, now we're super into the Yuletide music making.
Perfect. Hopefully, we hear a couple of them during the show that you're going to be touring.
You know what? You absolutely won't, but it's a good idea.
Yeah,
We they're the type of things you create and you really never learn how to play or like integrate into your live show.
yeah.
Um, we'll do it one day. Maybe we'll do like a Christmas tour once we have enough
Yeah.
material. Yeah.
Out of the 3 songs that you've released, is there a favorite one that you enjoy?
I love Cry Christmas just because I'm always way more into writing music than covering music.
Yep.
And I just found that was such a fun theme to explore, like the dysfunctional family dinner, which I think is something so many people can relate to, and is
Yeah.
certainly so much of my memories as a kid at Christmas time. It's like there's so much pressure for the family unit to function properly and to be joyous that it backfires on itself and everyone starts fighting. So it was yeah, just so fun to like tune into that sad truth of the Yuletide and write about it.
Speaking of Christmas, are you still going to be touring come this year's Christmas, or are you going to be back home for that?
We'll be back home.
Yeah.
I think we're getting back from this tour to Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Tokyo on December 1st, so which is kind of nice.
Hey, so 2005, you guys formed, Mother formed. Since then, you've had 8 studio albums, plus another good bundle of extra kind of albums as well.
I think nine studio albums.
9. Oh, yeah, 9, including Grief Chapter now. Exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so what keeps you driven? Like, I mean, because that's a lot of albums in only, what is that, almost 20 years now. What inspires you to write the albums?
I guess, I mean, life is pretty robust.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good and bad and ugly and beautiful and beastly and devastating. And I think, when we connect to music or film or art in any respect, it they act as portals into that stuff,
Yeah.
into the heartbreak, into the grief, into the joy, into the nostalgia. It's like that's what we like about it. So I think it's it's most accurate just to say like the immensity, the gravity of life and the human experience is what inspires, and there's no shortage of it.
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely not music that inspires the music; it's life that inspires the music.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment, especially in America. So there's so much content to draw from constantly, isn't there? Hey, let's talk about Grief Chapter. I mean, it's been received really well in Australia. I don't know about the rest of the world, but in Australia, we've really embraced it. I'll tell you two of my favorite tracks. One is the lead single on the album, which is called Nobody Escapes. You'd know that. And of course, Explode. Two absolute killer tracks. Have you got a favorite track off the album?
Probably Grief Chapter, the title track, and Head Shrink. So
Yeah,
I guess I'm a sucker for like the dark horses, the slow, sad songs.
yeah, yeah. So with the tour that's coming up, are we going to be hearing the whole album or snippets of the album? What are your plans there?
I think there's 4 or 5 new songs. Like when we tour new albums, you know, we try to like just celebrate the legacy, the discography. Um, we celebrate, yeah, the story as a whole and just borrow from each era, especially like in light of the last few years. It's like all this old music went viral, and so there are new fans that just discovered the band, and to them these songs that we made 15 years ago are brand new, and that's why they're coming to the show, is to hear Oh My Heart, right? And so we're definitely trying to honor this moment, and playing the old stuff, playing the new stuff, and everything in between just feels right.
So let's go back to when you were younger, Ryan. Who were you listening to growing up? Who really led you on your little path?
The Beatles off the Hop, and then a lot of like the old like blues bands from like the British explosion, like Cream and Derek and the Dominoes and Led Zeppelin. And then when I got into the Pixies, that's sort of when things sort of blew open, in terms of like understanding the energy that I wanted to create with songwriting.
Yep.
Um, eccentricity, right? Like extraterrestrial language and things that were bent and quirky and androgynous and eccentric within a catchy rock format really appealed to me. So like the Pixies and the Violent Femmes, like hearing men sing like that, really brazen, really barky, and almost whiny, really appealed to me. And then I went to jazz school down the line, like as a young adult, and then it was sort of like learning that language, and then infusing that with those quirky indie rock sensibilities, I think is what kind of helped birth Mother's sound.
Now, like, you've done plenty of tours over the time. Large venues, more intimate venues. What kind of venue do you prefer? Preferably, do you prefer the large crowds or the more intimate crowds?
I, you know what? It doesn't matter if it's big or small. I really love it when a venue has feng shui. Um, like we just played in Mexico City, and it was for like 4,500 people, which felt pretty big for us. And the venue was like this really long, narrow corridor, and I found it hard to like really feel everyone in an intimate way. Um, and then we played to like, crowds of 10,000, where there's like a circular nature to the venue, and maybe the seats are stacked up high, so you feel close even though there's way more people. So for me, yes, the size doesn't matter. It's the feng shui. It's like the ergonomics of the venue. But I do prefer the sense of intimacy.
Yeah. Hey, so as we close up 2024, I mean, it's not too far away now. It's only a month and a half away. Are you still continuing on with this tour, or have you got new plans for 2025 already?
Yeah, I think there's more happening. So we're going on like a little tour in Canada. So our home turf, in February and March. And then I think we're gonna try and do some festivals in Europe next summer. And we're working on some new music right now. So yeah, so we'll have some more energy, right? Like, because you can't just tour forever on an album. You kind of need to, have some new songs to make it have a point, the touring.
And then fingers crossed, another Australian tour coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Like, maybe not next year, but maybe the year after. Like, we feel like the relationship with Australia is just so young and fertile and alive and well. Like, yeah, we're really like into the courting phase, right? So we definitely want to like come back as soon as possible and keep getting to know you guys.
A lot of my mates, we're all fans of you guys, so make sure Adelaide is on the list this year. All right, please.
For
Ryan,
sure.
what an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we're going to see you in Adelaide at Hindley Street Music Hall on the 16th of November, which is only a week and a half away. Ryan, have an amazing time up until then. We're rehearsing, touring, doing everything that you do. And yeah, we'll see you in town very shortly. Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.